Okay, so in this video I will be piercing my throat. The first time around when I recorded it, the sound quality was absolute garbage, so I'm just going to say whatever I want and talk on top of this video. So here I am beginning by wiping my neck with an alcohol pad, or like a little alcohol wipe, just to kind of clean up the area. Obviously it smelled amazing, so just want to do as best I can to minimize any infection or germs in the area. Now I'm just going to be using a very simple Sharpie. I could not find my surgical pen, but just a Sharpie will work. I'm going to mark the area where I would like to put the needle through. I'm going to aim for, I don't know what it's called, the little V shape in my collarbone. I used to have a piercing there. That was a double vertical throat piercing is what they called it, but now I'm going to go for a horizontal one to try and see if it'll last longer. The microdermals that I had in my throat for a while ended up rejecting, and I'm guessing that it might be because the skin stretches more with a vertical piercing, so I'm thinking that the horizontal might work a bit better for me. So now I'm just going to try and make it even and mark off the area that I want to pierce. Just as a side note, I'm totally aware that my skin and my hair looks like absolute garbage here. This was taken about 2:30 in the morning, and I did not feel like brushing my hair or putting on makeup. I just wanted to jab a needle in my throat, so you're just gonna have to deal with it. Okay, so here is the needle that we're going to be using. It is a piercing needle. I bought a bunch of these off of Amazon. You can see that it's more like a hollow tube versus being a solid piece like a sewing needle or a safety pin or whatever else people use to do home piercings. This, what I'm saying in the original video is that the edge of the needle pushes the skin apart versus a blunt force trauma to the tissue that you would get with like a piercing gun or a thumbtack or sewing needle or anything like that. So you always want to use the hollow piercing needles when you are doing your body piercing. Part of that reason is because you want the jewelry to be able to fit inside. You don't want to push the needle through, then take it back out and try to put the jewelry in instead. You want it to be like one fluid motion so that there's less like a trauma to the tissue. Yeah, so on one of my other videos, some guy had made a big deal about how I wasn't wearing gloves, and I tried to tell him that basically I don't like wearing the gloves because they're too big for me, so I actually went out and bought extra small gloves, so this one's for you, dude. Here we go. I am pinching the skin together to make it a little easier. I can't really clamp the skin in this area, so I'm just gonna use my hands and jam it through. Normally, when I do piercing videos, in the editing part, I usually speed them up like 8 times the normal speed, just because I push the needle through very, very, very slowly. In real life, when I'm doing my piercings, I feel like it hurts a lot less, believe it or not. So I always push it through really slowly because, first of all, I feel like it hurts less, and then also I definitely feel like you get more control over the needle, over the angle, as far as like making it straight or just putting it where you want to be. There's also the true story of me being terrified of needles. Like, I don't even get a flu shot. I'm so scared of needles, but I love piercings, so if I do my own piercings, I don't have to deal with a stranger coming at me with, a giant piercing needle, wanting to jam it through my face. So I do my own piercings largely because I do not trust other people, which is going to sound crazy, but that's the truth. So by this point, I have gotten the needle almost all the way through. I'm just trying to aim for that little black spot on the other side. I really want to hit my mark here. I'm about to let go of the skin and just turn my hand the other way so I can kind of push the skin onto the needle and kind of like, help it along. But really, it doesn't hurt nearly as much as you would think. This is more like a burning or stinging, like kind of like a bee sting almost. But I mean, like, you can see really in my face that it's not like agony or whatever. It's just extreme concentration. So yeah, right here is where I am trying to push the skin onto the needle to make sure that it hits that black dot that I had marked earlier. Yeah, I really wanted to make sure that you guys were able to see this. The final part, when you're pushing it through the other side, it does sting significantly more than the first part of it, but the pain really is not unbearable by any means. So there we go, got it through, and let me take a selfie. Okay, so now by this point you can really see that the skin is starting to swell up a little bit. Totally normal. I was actually surprised that there was no blood by this point. So it's really only been about 45 seconds since I stopped the camera last time, so you can see it's swelling up rather quickly, but I'm just going to go ahead and put the jewelry through. Like I mentioned earlier, you have to feed the end of your jewelry inside the needle, which is kind of difficult when I can't really see, I can't see the needle, so I just have to kind of look in the mirror here. So I actually had an easier time with this than I have had with others in the past, but all I have to do now is just push it through, and this part usually hurts more than like the needle going through. Like, taking the needle out is more uncomfortable than pushing it through in the first place. But you want to just make sure that your jewelry is all the way, like as far into the piercing as it can go, and then just slide the needle off, and it will leave the jewelry inside the piercing hole that you've made. By the way, for anyone who did not know, a little bit of piercing trivia. Once you have pierced your body, the hole that is left is called a fistula. The skin tunnel that you've made is a fistula. Now I'm just trying to get these little teeny tiny silver balls onto the end of the jewelry. It is actually pretty difficult. You can see I made a little here. I actually lost one of the sides of the jewelry inside the piercing. It slipped back through, which I learned later on is because the jewelry was actually too short. Even though I had hoped that I would have a bit of room left over, it ended up not being long enough to accommodate the swelling, and I had to use a industrial bar that I had, which was very long, and curve that the same way that you saw in the beginning of the video. And that's what I'm wearing now, and it sticks out really far, and I'm finally considering changing back to the shorter bar now that it has healed up a bit. But there you go. You can see it's not really stretching too much as far as when I turn my head, so I'm thinking that it might stay in longer. And if you check this out, I was about to dispose of the needle, and I actually found the piece of skin that came out when I pushed the needle through. If you look earlier in the video, you can actually see it move out. But just let me know what you think, if you like the piercing, if you think it looks good, if you would ever pierce your own throat. Just thoughts, comments, let me know, and thank you for watching.